So thank you. Oh, there we go. Yeah, just like I was saying, the pleasure is mine. I'm super happy to be here and just sort of present the project that I've been working on. As was mentioned, I'll happily receive questions as I'm presenting. I'll keep an eye on the chat as much as I can. My apologies if I missed that, but at the end of my presentation, I'll be happy to also open the chat, go through any questions that I missed in the moment or that come after the fact. But please feel free to yeah, not be shy. Let me know sort of whatever you might be curious about. And I'll without any further ado, I'll just go ahead and start presenting. But yeah, super grateful and excited to be here. So let me just go ahead. Ba-bum. Okay, I'm gonna play this and I'll start with just a brief video about sort of what we do at Augmental.
I am living with quadriplegia.
I broke my neck in 2006, so it's been 17 years since I've been paralyzed.
I jumped from the back of a pickup truck, unfortunately, bent my neck backwards, and here I am.
I've already lost my front teeth from years of having pens and smashing my face off of a quad stick.
When I was first injured, I was trying to learn how to use like voice control to like type and do all my papers and homework, and it was so frustrating. That was part of just dropping out of school.
What is out there for people with quadriplegia to use in order to interface with their computers or their smart devices? And there's almost nothing.
I'm motivated about augmenting human ability. I'm interested in using technology in order to overcome all limitations.
At Augmental, we've always considered the tongue to be this very expressive and capable part of our body. We've likened it to the 11th finger, if you will.
The tongue has a unique ability to be very nimble. It can learn very quickly. It has tremendous precision and dexterity that really you only really see in the finger.
Thank you.
The MouthPad is an intraoral interface that lets you interact with computers without hands.
It rests on the top of your mouth. So this essentially enables you to use your tongue in the same way you would use your finger to interact with a trackpad, control your cursor, activate clicks, what have you, to control your computer.
Like, oh my goodness, like this is how it should be. It's very seamless. It's very easy to use. It's very intuitive.
Click on your phone and call someone would be like a game changer.
I really want to get back into just being, for lack of a better word, a human again.
We believe not only can we, assist with humans, but we can really change the way that we evolve with our technology. So it's not this question of, oh, I'm losing my humanity, but rather that I'm enhancing it.
It'll almost be like getting my right arm back.
I think that we have a potential to make a difference in people's lives.
We're making an interface that can be used by anybody.
You liking it, Rookie?
Mm-hmm. It'd be good not having a pen in my mouth.
I'm a sex enthusiast, so I'm happy to be in a space and I'm happy to be of service and extremely excited that we could collaborate and work together. So I was really interested in how Augmental was going to use this MouthPad to connect with my vibrator.
With this new device, everything is ramped up.
So being able to communicate while I am walking, while I'm doing something else, helps me really come back to life.
My nickname is the Oral Assassin on the internet, and so
Eventually everyone will be using it.
Spring is starting to spring, so I hope spring's eternal.
All right. Oops. Just skip there. All right. Thank you for watching that. Just for the official introduction, my name is Corton Singer. I'm co-founder and president here at Augmental, where we are essentially creating hands-free device control at the tip of the tongue. And essentially, since its invention back in the 1960s, the computer mouse really hasn't changed much, and the hand-based paradigm has kind of dominated this space of human-computer interaction. Really, what we want to do is sort of challenge this paradigm, embracing more of a sort of human-first component, really breaking out that human component in the human computer interaction. And this is something particularly interesting for us, especially as we believe that the future will become more and more wearable, which essentially means that our technology is becoming closer and closer to us, adapting more to our human oddities and shapes and behaviors. And this is why I think it's really important for us to start focusing more on this human element as much as we can. And just briefly, a little bit about us and the team. We're a scrappy single-digit team, really passionate, with most of us each having a personal connection to the work we're doing, which as a founder means a whole lot more to me than just having that technical expertise. But that said, we do have a strong team, and really we've worked together exploring all of the alternative input sort of technologies that are out there. We've gone from EEG research, doing electrodes on the head. We've done EMG work, which analyzes muscle movements. We've done EOG, eye tracking. I was at Microsoft Research making wheelchair navigation interfaces using eye gaze. My co-founder was at Siri at Apple doing speech interfaces, and eventually he ended up at Neuralink, where we also met our first hire. And so this is Neuralink. This is Elon Musk's company doing the brain chip for the brain computer interfacing. And so really we've gone across the whole spectrum of available alternative technologies and have found ourselves at Augmental, this current product that leverages the mouth and the tongue. And really it's just to show that this has been a culmination of efforts since over a decade ago, when my co-founder and I met at UC Berkeley, studying both brains and computers, and wondering what we were going to do to sort of apply our skill set to the world. And as we particularly worked with many folks at UC Berkeley who were part of the Disabled Students Program, we learned pretty quickly that we fell in love with this idea, this fulfilling application of using what we learned to essentially improve quality of life and enable more equitable access to the digital world for everyone. And it was kind of our understanding that, like, hey, we are already in the future. This is low-hanging fruit to allow everyone to access this digital space, when previously, before the internet, physical spaces were simply just harder to get to for those of our customers, particularly in wheelchairs. And so we see no excuses anymore, and we wanted to essentially just create better, futuristic, modern access to this digital world. Something that was attractive not just to those users in this assistive segment, but to any user with a mouth and an interest in connecting. And so essentially, this is what motivated us to create the MouthPad, which is what we call it, smart mouthwear for discrete and robust hands-free device control that leverages not only the dexterity of the tongue, which we sort of liken to the 11th finger, if you will, given how dexterous it is, but it also takes advantage of jaw motion, head motion, and breathing gestures as input. And this is part of our philosophy, really, that good interfaces should be, human first. They should be capable of meeting us where we are at the level of input that we find most suitable for the given context at hand. These should be multimodal and capable. And this is kind of what has driven a lot of the design theory of this product that has a lot of different ways to interact while being in this convenient and wearable form factor. And without further ado, I'd love to not just tell you about this device, but again, show another video that showcases how the MouthPad can be used, for example, to control one's smartphone. This is Corbin, not to be confused with myself, Corten. He is our software engineer on the team, and he's going to just showcase his MouthPad usage on his phone. One thing I'll point out is notice how he can speak without his device in. Once he puts his MouthPad in, he can still speak perfectly fine to interact with Siri, for example. And this is yet again another part of our design process to make sure that the device doesn't impede speech. We see speech as a very powerful and important tool, and we want to make sure that by being in the mouth, we're careful to not block that or prevent that from happening. So without further ado, I'll just give it a play.
Hello, and welcome to another MouthPad demo. I'm going to use my MouthPad to get directions with Google Maps. Hey Siri, turn on Bluetooth.
Now, I can't tell how good the volume is there, but he's turned on his Bluetooth in the normal settings where he can now control his phone with that little circle, that yellow circular cursor, which is all done by the tongue. He can swipe, navigate the screen, click on an app, and even go so far as to type out full words letter by letter. Now, at the beginning of this, he did speak to Siri, and so we would encourage speech to text for quicker text input in this scenario. But if you have privacy concerns or even lung capacity concerns where you can't vocalize, this is an alternative that allows you to still have access to really whatever you might need. In this case, he's happening to look for directions to a nearby grocery store. But there you have also the click and drag ability. Basically, everything that you'd expect from an off-the-shelf computer mouse is supported with our device today. Let me just go to this next video. That first demo showcases our tongue control. This video here showcases our second feature of interaction, which is head motion-based input for the cursor control. I'll play this. Here you can see Corbin pops his device in, goes up to his Bluetooth settings like any normal mouse. There's his mouth pad, and he's off and running with his head control controlling just the motion input of the cursor, but the tongue trackpad of the device still serving as the method to input clicks or a click and drag or a right click. So what you have with our device is this hybrid system where the tongue is being used for the gestural input and the head is being used for that motion input. It helps offload the tongue from doing all of these behaviors at once. However, we do still love the idea that you can just depend on your tongue alone if you don't have head motion, for example. And this is, yet again, our effort towards that human-first approach, that meeting us where we are approach by providing a couple of different options for input so that this device can just kind of cover all bases and hopefully provide value to the widest range of a customer segment. And in this video, you can see he's clicking and dragging, dropping into an email, basically doing mundane, functional, productive tasks that you would normally do at your computer. Again, trying to just show that we can change lives already with the product that we're able to provide today. And just wanting to sort of go from there, I'll do a really quick check. Oops, sorry. I was gonna look for, yeah, there we go, for questions, but I see that's empty for now, so I'll continue ahead. But with this slide, I just wanted to highlight essentially the value propositions that we've identified with our technology. And really, the MouthPad in our eyes has clear value props that includes the fact that it supports a variety of expressive and precise controls. Essentially, this is that multimodal interaction to best suit your preference that I was talking towards. And its position just being in the mouth lends itself to a discrete and really private interaction experience in which the MouthPad is virtually invisible to the world and to external observers, but it's still always available to users at the tip of the tongue. And so this is really helpful when it comes down to the concept of portability. You know, our users can be in bed when they use their device. They don't always have to be specifically set up in their wheelchair or at their desktop setup in order to interact with the digital world. And that is quite convenient. And on top of that, it's just always available to connect to your phone, your computer, your tablet out of the box because it is just a Bluetooth standard mouse at this point. And yeah, it's also a custom fit design. As you can sort of see on the right, you can see the dentition and the shape being custom to a dental model, if you will. And this custom fit maximizes for both comfort and for safety. You know, it's not too tight to be uncomfortable, but it fits just right so that it won't fall off and you know, become loose, for example. This is now stepping into some of our early customers. Just as an example, really, of how limited hands-free input options are today. This is Keely, again, with Corbin, who you've seen in the demos previously. She wants to be a mechanical engineer, but her existing lip joystick device really leaves a lot to be desired. She couldn't do simple mouse or cursor functionality, such as click and drag functions. And it really creates a physical barrier between her and the world, which at times increases social stigma just because this device sits right there in front of your face. But with our device, Keely is now using her MouthPad for really virtually all computer control, averaging over 4 hours a day, every day, even up to 9 hours a day of usage. And for the first time, really, she can independently do almost everything, which comes to, raising her hand in class, in Zoom, to developing new CAD designs with her digital software programs. And when we asked both her and her family, her parents, through tears of joy, really told us that getting this MouthPad has been the biggest life change for all members of the family since she developed her quadriplegia. And not just a win for Keely alone, but the support crew really benefits from this unlock of independence that is just really remarkable. Here are a couple of other amazing testers beyond Keely that we had participate in our beta test program. This was before we started selling devices. A lot of amazing, really heroes that we've been starting to work with. Shout out really quickly to my cousin, Nico, pictured here with me on the right. He was one of the first users. He was also at UC Berkeley with me and my co-founder, Tomas. And so it was definitely a personal motivation for me to get into this space and continue to develop novel interfaces that are accessible. I have a couple of other just quick videos to go through. This is one of our champions, Josh. He was pretty phenomenal right off the bat. This is, I believe, only a couple minutes into him wearing his MouthPad for the very first time, not having any previous training.
Josh, after 3 minutes.
Okay, 3 minutes. This is our earliest onboarding interface. We have since iterated on this quite a bit, but you can see all the signals on the right side showing what's going on, the yellow squares lighting up with his tongue. And you can see that black dot going to the different yellow bars on the screen. So even after 2 minutes, he is able to use his MouthPad to navigate his computer pretty easily. Moving forward, we see here Josh in the background, and this is his new-ish baby. It's a toddler now, but very cute baby. He loves the idea of being able to recreate with his child, which is sometimes difficult with the more bulky and clunky assistive devices that often might prevent him from holding his baby in his lap while also reading a story. So in this video, you see him controlling this toy robot on the ground with his MouthPad because it is Bluetooth enabled, and he is racing his child. So it looks like he won the race. That's not going to stop. He's going to be very, very precious having just a moment to interact like that. And then here we have one of our other champion users. You might recognize her from the video I played at the beginning. This is Christina. She is using her MouthPad in one of the first sessions we ever had to create some digital art with one of her most favorite art apps, I guess, if you will. Apologies on that. But here I can just play it, and you can see that orange circle on screen. She can navigate, select a different setting.
I like that.
And just like that, very simple, but easy enough to connect to your tablet and just, click remotely. Beyond this is not an official product offering yet. This is only in our earliest testing. We are not a medical device, so we cannot officially control wheelchairs yet. This is something that we're pushing for in the next year to year and a half. But in our earliest tests, we can see Christina, again, using her MouthPad for the first time to control her wheelchair differently.
Oh my God.
This is a Will power chair, so they have an iPhone app for control. This is what makes this connect pretty easily to just verify that she can control her chair. Here, she'll also do a slight turn. And she's just generally excited that she hasn't been able to, control her chair in a novel way like this before. But again, pretty easy out of the box. It just sort of works. Lastly, I'll show this is a video of Rocky No Hands. He is the world's first quadriplegic professional e-gamer. He was picked up by Luminosity, one of the e-gaming teams. He uses a quad stick, which is a single joystick device with a couple of buttons and even sip and puff straws. What this lacks, though, however, is two joystick inputs. And the traditional video gamer has, two joysticks, one for aiming his shooter in this case, and one for moving the character around the map. By having just one joystick, he has had to switch modes between aiming and moving. And at the competitive level that he plays, this is actually a problem because his competitors can take advantage of that pretty easily. So what we did was connect him to our mouse pad and the quad stick simultaneously. So his quad stick is used for his aiming and his shooting, but our mouse pad helps him navigate the screen. You can see on the bottom right here on my laptop, there's a bunch of yellow squares. This is his tongue in action while he is playing. You can see it's quite fast because he is a pretty dynamic player, but he is able to effectively take out his enemy team without dying using these simultaneous joystick inputs for the first time.
Nice.
I'll let it play just a little longer because you see him actually finish up at the end. Pretty remarkable. These two are his teammates, so that's why he's not going after them. But got that one guy.
Wow. Nice.
Stronger, better, smarter.
So he was really pretty happy to be performing with this new tool, and so we were really excited to see that it actually worked for him right out the box. And so without further ado, I'll kind of get back into a little bit of the presentation. I don't want to go too long over, but I'd love to just explain sort of our motivation between why now. And this kind of comes at a time where we've seen a lot of amazing advancements in electronics that have allowed for miniaturization of our sensors and our low-cost flexible circuitry so that we can conform to the shapes of the mouth with more ease. This allows us to really prevent impeding speech too much because we have such smaller and conformable electronics. This also comes at a time where we've seen companies like Invisalign, Smile Direct, a lot of these 3D printed aligner companies that have really made it more socially acceptable to use these types of intraoral devices. Years ago, it might have been weird to be at the restaurant and pull out this, retainer, but that's kind of been normalized now, and we hope to hop on to that sort of concept of normalizing intraoral technology so that we can start to incorporate smarter technology inside of those devices without total backlash culturally. Beyond just this, we also see this is an opportune time because we're at what we see as an inflection point in human-computer interaction. And really, what I mean by this is we are now transitioning from look-down displays that kind of have dominated, aka having phones and bending your neck to see this little screen in your hand, to more wearable and heads-up displays. So you can think of the Apple Vision Pro or the Meta VR glasses that are worn and really for the first time drastically change our screens. And so we will effectively need more, I don't know, effective and robust methods to interact with hands-free technology because we're not going to be wearing these screens and always having to raise up our hands. We want to reduce human behavior change that will allow us to actually, adopt these new technologies in a seamless and an intuitive way. And so we believe that these wearable screens will necessitate a new way for hands-free interaction, but it also speaks towards a trend where our technology is just, again, becoming wearable, coming closer to us. So not only our screens, but you can think of our smartwatches, our AI pins, what have you, that are becoming part of this wearable ecosystem. And this is something we really want to tap into. I see, okay, cool. Yeah, I just wanted to check the chat again. I'll come back to this at the end if there are any other questions, but I'll continue ahead. On top of just why now, you might think, why the tongue? And I'd love to just share a bit about the innate dexterity of the tongue that got us excited in the first place. And this picture we're looking at comes from some of my psych, cognitive science brain related classes when I was in college. But on the left side, you see a typical human body shape. On the right, you see what the body would look like if all parts of the body were proportional to the neural representation of those body parts in the brain. So what this means is that in the brain, we have a lot of chunks dedicated to the hands, for example. The hands are quite important tools for humans. They touch and feel and pick up and do a lot of important tasks. So we have a lot of neurons dedicated to that. Similarly, you can see how large the tongue is in this picture, which indicates that we have a disproportionately large representation of neurons understanding what the tongue is up to. And this also is true because the tongue is made of 8 different muscles, which are redundant. So while we have a large dedication of the brain responsible for the tongue so that we can move it in these crazy complex ways, it also means that there are redundant fibers that can do those tongue movements with different muscle activations, meaning that the tongue doesn't get tired compared to other parts of the body. This is that indefatigable. Sorry, that word is always tough for me, but meaning that it is really hard for it to fatigue. And this is great because we can, depend on the tongue without worrying that we're going to become tired. And you can think of what I'm doing right now. I've been talking pretty much nonstop. My tongue is moving in these crazy ways, but I'm ready to go. If anything, my throat or head will begin to get tired before my tongue will when I'm talking nonstop. So the tongue is really just a powerful part of our bodies, and we love to lean into that. And without any extra pitch or detail, this is sort of what the MouthPad looks like today, and it is available. We are making our early sales now. We have not initiated a full-blown public launch, but we are accepting waitlist signups, and we are filtering that list of waitlistees based off of need, a couple of logistical parameters, such as how close they are to our offices, how easy it is for us to service those customers. We started out with a slightly lower price than what we have here, and we will slightly increase that as we get to our full public launch. But this is our current offering as we are making sales today. And this is kind of our thought process on how we'll make this MouthPad more widely available. We're starting now with our direct sales coming from our waitlist. This number is slightly outdated. We have about 3,000 waitlist signups now, but we are, as I said, making sure to prioritize those customers who live with some type of disability and who stand to benefit the most from this technology. This direct sale campaign is an out-of-pocket purchase. And at the same time, we are working with referral networks beyond just this wait list so that we can have a steady stream of incoming customers. And you can think of rehab institutions around the country, Mount Sinai, Craig Hospital. We're working with United Spinal Association. And we have also started to make a few sales in the VAs of various different states. This is a growing process. We are continually trying to expand this network so that we can really reach all the folks who might stand to benefit from this technology. Now, while we will become FDA certified in the future, which allows us to tap into insurance reimbursements to really offload the cost for all of our customers, although that's in the future, we are still working today for ways to help fund this device. And this kind of manifests as partnerships with the Department of Rehabilitation and vocational rehab programs and other opportunities to seek funding, like city waivers, nonprofit opportunities, grant fund foundations, etc. So we are, again, always growing, always looking for new opportunities and new ways to just get this technology out there to the people who need it. That is first and foremost our number one goal here. And this is kind of just to show what we are looking at as far as a market. We're starting with our ideal customer segment, that being folks living with quadriplegia caused by spinal cord injury. This is largely beneficial because you technically have the abilities of the mouth above the injury intact. So this is representing about 900,000 people in the US alone. There are also around 11,000 new cases in the US alone. So this is part of why we want to expand our network so that when people seek help, they can find it. Beyond this initial segment, we hope to expand to larger hand impairment segments, such as the 3 million people in the US living with other severe hand impairments like stroke, muscular dystrophy, multiple sclerosis, just to name a few conditions. And then branching out to the more moderate hand impairments like repetitive strain, carpal tunnel, arthritis, uh, uh, these types of conditions, which we've already started to see show up in our waitlist, for example. And just as a last bit of sort of what we're looking at, I've kind of started off on the left side here, explaining our wedge in the disability space, using this hands-free mouse essentially to create more equitable access to the digital world. And this is amazing, and we love this product, but we don't see it ending here. We see with this first product, we've reinvented the computer mouse, but for tomorrow, we want to reinvent the keyboard as well. So what this essentially means is that our next offering will also incorporate speech input. And this has a lot of great benefits for our initial user segment and also for potential segments beyond. But the idea is to first start off by incorporating a microphone so that you can have easier access to your speech-based systems. You have a microphone directly to the source in your mouth, so you can support, for example, low volume speech interaction. So this can be sort of like whisper-based speech, so that you have a little bit more privacy when interacting with these systems. And by being in the mouth, you have sort of a natural filter that blocks out the noise of your environment. So if you're in a public space, for example, you have more confidence to get your signal through to your system without being picked up with all the other noise and artifacts of people talking around you. This is also helpful on the low volume side, because if you are, again, in public, you can have the choice to speak a little bit more privately so that not everyone would be listening into what you're saying. And finally, after we support sort of this low volume speech input, our goal is to really support silent speech, completely silent, so that we're just using the sensors of this technology to effectively track the behaviors and movements of the mouth so that we can create our own speech model based off of just mouth movements. And we can sort of remove the need for a microphone altogether, understanding speech just from those movements. And this has the added benefit of complete privacy when you want to interact with a voice-based system. This allows you to have a keyboard to do speech to text without having to really expose yourself or whatever work you're doing to those that are in earshot around you. And the cherry on top of this is, since we are connected, as you see in this photo, to the upper jaw, which has rigid bone connection to the auditory system, we can use what is called bone conduction audio. So some of you might have seen these novel headphones that rest not on your ears, but on your temples. They conduct audio through the bone in a way that doesn't block the audio of your ears. And this is essentially a technology that is available to us in our device while we're adhered to the jaw. So this allows us to have not only silent speech input to your device, but you get silent audio-based feedback from the device as well. So you can have essentially conversations with your AI assistant in the future that are completely private and robust, which we see as almost like enabling another layer of your brain, this layer of intelligence that you have access to that otherwise looks like it's just a part of you. You know, it's invisible to the world, and it just gives us that extra ability to perform in this new age that we're stepping into. This is kind of the exciting mouse keyboard concept in the interaction space. More far off in the future, once we get FDA certified, we also see a lot of interesting opportunities for health tracking, doing diagnosis from the mouth, as we have access to a lot of interesting biosignals that are previously, undetectable. And so this is something I won't go into too much, but we see a lot of potential in the medical space as well. However, our jam is definitely on the interaction side. We are here to directly enhance quality of life by enabling better access. So the mouse and keyboard reinvention is our first focus. But that said, I wanted to just give the full exciting sort of vision that I could while I have everybody. I know that we might be, a bit over time from the 30 minutes. So thank you for bearing with me as I just kind of gave the whole spiel here. I have, yeah, the chat open now with a question about trying out devices. This is a great question about a demo model. We've gotten this question a bunch, so that makes total sense. We have difficulty in providing demo devices. As you can imagine, this device does go into the mouth, and so when I put it in, I get my saliva, my germs on it, and it's not something that I'm gonna be giving to somebody else. Technically, it can't even be worn by anybody else because this device, my device actually, is made to my custom dentition, and my mouth is different than anybody else's. So if they try to put it in, it actually won't fit. The way we work around this sort of demo trial device concept is we have a 30-day full refund guarantee. So if it doesn't work, if it doesn't work as a demonstration device, even for the ATPs that are working at a clinic, we will fully grant a full refund. We have not yet refunded any devices in this way yet. We're open to it, but what we've found is that the technology works in the way that it needs to, and it does bring value. So we're hopeful that we don't have to honor a refund and that it just does work for folks. But in the event that it doesn't, we totally get that and would encourage folks to, get a device, try it out, and if they don't like it, they can send it back. And yeah, the second question I see here also comments on the speed relative to a typical mouse. As you might have seen in the demo video, the speed of the tongue-based cursor control, if you will, is a bit slower than what we are familiar with hand-based input. This is largely because this is a very novel interaction method that we're still working through to enhance it and to get it to the speed of a hand. This also has the other side of the problem in which it's not just how fast the mouse can go, but also how comfortable the tongue is to serve as the hand or the cursor input. So it takes a little bit of learning, but we can in the device change the settings for the speed. So as you, for instance, get more familiar with this technology and become, more of a pro user, you can change the speed to get faster and faster, so that it adapts to your level of ability. That said, you might recall from the demo video of the head tracking input, this is comparable, if not quicker, than a hand-based mouse input. This is, of course, only really available to those who do have neck motion available to them, but we find that those who do have a little bit more success or a better user experience because they can move at a speed that is just, quicker, what they're more expecting when considering a computer mouse. But we really are adamant about improving tongue-based interaction so that we can get it up to that same speed. But that's a great question. And I see another question here is, what is the current lead time for the wait list? This is a great question. It's pretty hard to have a, definite answer across the board here, but the way that we approach this is, we have around 3,000 people. We're a 6-person team, so we can't get through everybody. However, we prioritize those who, are need-based, and how we're doing it currently is we prioritize clusters of groups of 5 or more. So this allows us to come out in person to all of our customers, and it makes it worth our time, if not based in California, to travel if there are 5 or more customers to work with. So what we've done with certain rehab clinics is, for example, we've made 1 or 2 for the ATPs or the professionals there that help each individual client, so that they can serve as demonstration devices. And then we purchased or created about 3 devices for the remaining 5 for, relevant clients that they already have in mind that they'd like to get this technology for. That is sort of the general approach, but as we're growing, we're finding that we don't necessarily need to travel out as much anymore. We have the ability to do remote onboarding, where we do a sort of remote video call with a digital game that we send for our clients to step through varying levels of mouth control sort of stages. And that allows us to reach our customers with a little bit more speed. The only last detail that sort of causes delay is how fast we can get the dental model.
What are you doing up here?
Oh, yeah. And so basically the dental model that is needed for this device, we have previously worked by sending out a tray. It's sort of a tray of putty, if you will, that you bite down onto with your upper jaw. This gives an impression of what your upper jaw looks like. You send it back and we scan that. We are now transitioning to intraoral scanning. We have bought our own intraoral scanner and we're expanding our network of dentists. So this is actually a way to move the lead time a bit faster because you can find an accessible dentist in your area that is willing to work with us to capture your scan. And so this allows for customers to go in, the same week that they found out about this technology, get a scan, and then it takes about 1 to 2 months after we have received the dental model to ship out the MouthPad to the customer. That was a long-winded description. I just wanted to give all the information around our thought processes. Thank you for the question. But yeah, I think through all these questions, a big takeaway too is, we are quite young. We're a small team, but we just got funding. So we're in our growth stage. There's going to be, as a result, a lot of processes that are changing, hopefully to help automate and expedite the timing of all these processes so that we're not just, 5 of us putting as many together as we can each week. So expect some acceleration in the next couple of months, but this is kind of what we're looking at now. Yeah, thank you though for the questions. I don't see any other questions in the chat, but that doesn't mean there aren't any more. If anyone would like to ask any, with their mic as well without typing in, I would love to answer any last questions. Otherwise, I'm available for any follow-ups too. I can almost leave well, let's see. I don't know if actually my email is in here, unfortunately, but hopefully my email can be shared afterwards as well. If anybody has any questions, I'm here all day, every day. I love talking to new folks and sharing the dream. So please don't be shy. Thank you.